bitch level.
No.
Go.
Stop, Johnathan. Stop, Johnathan.
Now, game over.
Oh, let them tell it.
Yeah, we winning.
Yeah, let y'all tell it.
We don't know how to lose. We don't even take losses good. At nothing. I mean at nothing.
April 12th, 2018. A woman goes live on Facebook from her home in Shreveport, Louisiana. At first glance, it looks like any other live stream, just someone talking to their followers. But something is off. She looks nervous. Her voice is shaky. Behind her, a man paces back and forth holding a rifle. She keeps apologizing. "I'm sorry," she says over and over. But before she can finish, gunfire erupts.
Johnathan, stop, Johnathan.
Now, game over.
It was the final moments of 27-year-old Rannita Williams. A young mother, a daughter, a friend. She was murdered on live stream while the world watched by a man she once trusted. This wasn't some random act of violence. It wasn't sudden. This was the end of a long, escalating cycle of control, obsession, and revenge. And at the center of it all was one man, Johnathan Robinson. Why did Robinson feel the need to take her life so publicly, so violently? And how did a toxic relationship spiral into something so deadly? Today, we're diving deep into a case that shocked the internet and left an entire community grieving. This is the tragic story of Rannita Williams, the woman whose final moments were broadcast for the world to see. If you really want to understand this case, you have to know who Rannita Williams was, not just as a victim, but as a person. Because before her name became a headline, before her final moments were shared across the internet, Rannita was a daughter, a mother, a friend. She was born and raised in Shreveport, Louisiana, where she spent most of her life. People who knew her called her NuNu, a nickname that stuck with her since childhood. If you ask her family and friends to describe her, the first words that come up are kind, outgoing, full of life. She had a natural ability to make people laugh, and she had a way of lifting up others, even when she was struggling herself. Rannita was a mother of 3. Her kids were everything to her. No matter what she was going through, they always came first. She worked hard to provide for them, balancing multiple jobs. She did hairdressing, she did interior decorating, and she had a real eye for fashion. She loved putting together outfits, doing makeup, and just expressing herself through style. She wasn't famous, but in her own way, she had a presence, a way of standing out. And that presence extended beyond just her community. Social media was a big part of her life. Like a lot of people, she used Facebook and Instagram to connect with friends, share moments from her day, and post little inspirational messages. She wanted to spread positivity. If you scroll through her posts, you'll see quotes about staying strong, being independent, and pushing forward no matter what life throws at you. But for Rannita, social media was more than just a place to post pictures. It became a space where she could express herself, where she could vent, and sometimes where she could push back against the negativity in her life. And that's where things started to get complicated, because social media doesn't just connect you to people who support you. It also gives people from your past easy access to you. And in Rannita's case, one of those people was Johnathan Robinson. At first glance, it might not seem like her online presence had anything to do with her death. But as we go deeper into this case, you'll see how social media played a role in escalating the tension between Rannita and Robinson. Tension that would eventually turn deadly. So now that we know who she was, let's talk about him. Because Johnathan Robinson wasn't just some random man with a gun. He was someone Rannita knew well, someone she once loved, and someone who refused to let her go. Johnathan Robinson, a name that, to most people, didn't mean much before April 12, 2018. But for those who knew him, especially those who had crossed paths with him in the past, his reputation was anything but ordinary. He was dangerous, controlling, and had a history of violence that made what happened to Rannita Williams all the more tragic. Because the truth is, this wasn't a random act. It wasn't sudden. It was the result of years of abusive, possessive behavior that finally reached its breaking point. Robinson was 36 years old at the time of the murder, significantly older than Rannita. He had a long criminal record, and not for petty crimes. His past included domestic violence, illegal gun possession, and drug-related offenses. This was a man who was no stranger to law enforcement, and yet, despite multiple arrests and warnings, he continued to walk free. What people say about him is consistent. He had a short fuse. If things didn't go his way, he lashed out, physically, verbally, emotionally. And when it came to relationships, he didn't just get angry. He wanted control. Control over where you were, who you talked to, and what you did. And when that control slipped, that's when things got dangerous. Rannita and Johnathan had been together on and off for about 5 years. In the beginning, things were probably like any other relationship. But over time, the cracks started to show. He became more aggressive, more jealous, more possessive. The arguments got worse. The threats started piling up. Eventually, Rannita had enough. She left him, and for a while, it seemed like she had moved on. But Robinson wasn't done with her. He didn't take the breakup as a sign to move on with his life. Instead, he kept trying to pull her back in. He stalked her. He harassed her. He called her, texted her, showed up uninvited. And when she ignored him, he got angrier, more unpredictable, more desperate. This is a pattern we see all too often in cases like this. The moment an abuser realizes they've lost control, they escalate. And that's exactly what happened here. Rannita had started seeing someone new. She was posting about her life, moving forward, living freely. And that, more than anything, was what Robinson couldn't handle. He wanted Rannita to know she wasn't in control, that no matter what she did, he was still there, watching. And in his mind, if he couldn't have her, no one could. What happened next was not an impulsive decision. It was planned, calculated. In the days leading up to April 12, 2018, things were starting to spiral. Johnathan Robinson wasn't just angry. He was obsessed. He couldn't stand the fact that Rannita was moving on, living her life without him. He had always been controlling, but now his grip was slipping. And for a man like Robinson, that wasn't something he could accept. He started calling her more, threatening her, sending messages, showing up uninvited. He wanted her to know that he was still watching, still in control. He wanted to scare her, and by all accounts, he did. But Rannita didn't go running back to him. She didn't let his threats pull her back into his world. That only made him angrier. Then, on April 12th, everything came to a head. Robinson didn't just make threats anymore, he acted on them. He forced his way into her home in Shreveport, Louisiana. He had a rifle with him, and at that moment, Rannita knew there was no talking her way out of this. She was trapped, but this wasn't going to be something that happened behind closed doors. Robinson wanted the world to see what he was about to do. He ordered her to start a Facebook Live video, and she did. She followed his instructions. But if you watch the footage, you can tell something is very wrong. Her body language says everything. She looks nervous, afraid. She's speaking, but her words feel forced. She keeps apologizing. "I'm sorry," over and over again. It's unclear exactly what she was apologizing for. Maybe she thought it would calm him down. Maybe she was hoping that if she just went along with what he wanted, she could somehow make it out alive. But in the background, Robinson is pacing. He's holding the rifle. He's worked up, full of rage. The people watching have no idea what's about to happen. Maybe some of them think this is just a heated argument. Maybe some think it's just another one of those dramatic Facebook Live videos where someone is airing out their relationship problems. The tension in the room was unbearable. Robinson had been pacing, gripping his rifle, his frustration growing with every second. Rannita sat there, doing exactly what he had ordered her to do, streaming live on Facebook, speaking, apologizing, trying to keep the situation from spiraling any further out of control. But it wasn't working. Whatever was going through Robinson's mind at that moment, whatever anger had been building up inside him, it finally exploded. Without warning, he raised a rifle and fired. The first shot rang out, loud and unmistakable. The phone tumbled from where it was propped up, landing on the floor, but the live stream kept running. The screen was black now, but the audio continued. More shots. Viewers who had been watching just moments before. now found themselves listening to something they couldn't comprehend. Gunfire, chaos, the horrifying realization that they had just witnessed something they were never supposed to see.
I think I'm worried about the police right now. Tell you, I don't give a fuck about no fucking police, you heard? Hold up.
Okay.
Hold up. Hold up.
No, it was just, I apologize.
What's up?
Because I couldn't go live on my phone. My page is blocked.
Just want to be famous, I'm gonna make them famous.
No.
Want to be famous, I'm gonna make you famous.
No.
No. Everybody want to be famous, let's be famous today.
Okay.
Huh? I do.
Yes.
He's telling you I kill me this milk.
No. Stop, Johnathan.
Now, game over.
By the time police arrived at Rannita's home in Shreveport, she was still alive, but barely. She had been hit multiple times. She was on the floor, unable to move, and Robinson wasn't done yet. He wasn't trying to run. He wasn't trying to hide. Instead, he barricaded himself inside the house. What followed was an intense standoff. Robinson had fired at police, and they had no choice but to respond. Bullets flew, hitting nearby homes and vehicles. It wasn't just Rannita in danger anymore. It was everyone in the neighborhood. Officers took cover, trying to find a way to end the situation without more casualties. One officer was hit in the wrist. The entire block felt like it had turned into a war zone. After nearly an hour and a half, Robinson finally surrendered. He was taken into custody, but for Rannita, it was already too late. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital, but her injuries were too severe. She didn't survive. The news spread fast. Friends, family, and complete strangers who had tuned in her live stream were left in shock. They had watched helplessly, unable to stop what was happening, unable to save her.
Accused killer is behind bars in Shreveport after a shooting during a standoff. He is also accused of shooting a police officer who is recovering from a gunshot wound. KSLA News 12's Jeff Farrow breaks down a chain of events during a very long and, for some, emotional day.
A tragedy unfolded in Shreveport's Caddo Heights neighborhood when police say an alleged gunman, 36-year-old Johnathan Robinson, fatally shot a woman reportedly being held against her will inside a house on Natalie Street. Authorities say Robinson allegedly shot a Shreveport police officer in the wrist as well before being taken into custody.
It was more than 10. It was 10 at first. They started shooting back at each other. It was ongoing, so it was about anywhere from 20 to 30 shots.
Medics took both victims to University Health Hospital, where Caddo coroner vehicles soon arrived for the woman. As for Johnathan Robinson, officers first took him to the Shreveport City Jail. That's when they say he damaged a water pipe, causing the cell to flood with water. After that disruption, police moved him to the Caddo Correctional Center. People could be seen running away from the perimeter of the scene several times during the standoff after either hearing shots fired or a loud boom. An electrician had been on a ladder outside a house when the standoff began next door.
When I got down on the ladder, I walked around to the front, and the police told me to get back in the house and lay down. And, because it was an active shooting. And I laid there for about 30 minutes, and I kept hearing gunshots go on while I was laying down there.
Calvin Thomas says police soon got him out safely before the standoff had ended. Others grew increasingly impatient as they waited for the scene to clear to check on loved ones nearby. Luckily, no bystanders were injured in the ordeal.
When the standoff finally ended and Robinson was taken into custody, there was no question about what had happened. He had done it in front of the world. There was no denying it, no room for doubt. The evidence was right there, streamed live for anyone to see. The police didn't need to build a case. They already had everything they needed. In the days that followed, the shock settled in. People who had known Rannita personally struggled to process what had happened. Her family was devastated. Her children had lost their mother. Her friends had lost someone who was always full of life, someone who could light up a room. And beyond those who had known her, strangers who had never met her, but who would never forget her name. Robinson, meanwhile, was behind bars. He wasn't trying to fight the charges. There was nothing to fight. When it came time for trial, he pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. No appeals, no attempts at a reduced sentence. He knew what he had done, and now he was facing the consequences.
You know, when you just say your wife, you know your wife not strong. And you know people mess with your wife because they know she's not mentally stable. There ain't no excuse for what I did, but I done hurt her so much, and I just got tired of people hurting her. She going through mental stages, and it's like, and everybody laughing at her. And I got tired of it. I told them nobody won't laugh at you no more. I'm tired of them hurting her. There ain't no excuse for what I did. I hate it, but man, I'm supposed to protect her. I'm supposed to protect her. My job, protect her. Yeah.
Tell me what you mean by that, though.
Okay, me and the girl, we have dealings. But it's like a person know, if you know what putting buttons and make them go over the edge and make them be suicidal and stuff, and you still do it, it's like you have no regard for her life. You know she'll go, you know she'll take all these drugs, you know she'll take all these pills and kill herself, and you want to go on social media and bash her, make her look bad, and just, I told her I'd never let nobody hurt her like that no more. I told her, no more.
What happened today?
I asked her, why did you keep doing it? I asked her, I texted her, I called her, why? Stop. She wouldn't stop. I told my girl, I said, I'm gonna tell her, I'm gonna take care of her for you because she hurt you. And I hurt you, but she daddy won't let up and stop messing with you.
The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He would never walk free again. For Rannita's family, the sentencing brought some closure, but it didn't take away the pain. No prison sentence could undo what had happened. No amount of justice could bring her back. They were left with memories, pictures, old videos, the sound of her laughter in their heads, but they would never see her again. The reality of that was something they would have to live with for the rest of their lives. Social media has changed everything. It lets us connect, share, and be part of each other's lives, but has also become a place where real-life tragedies play out for the world to see. Should platforms be able to step in faster when something like this happens? Or is it impossible to stop violence once it's already in motion? And beyond that, what can we learn from this? Rannita's story isn't just about social media. It's about control, jealousy, and the devastating consequences of domestic violence. How do we do better at recognizing the warning signs before it's too late? At the end of the day, Rannita Williams was more than what happened to her. She was a daughter, a sister, a mother. Her life mattered. And if there's one thing we can take from this, it's that these stories aren't just headlines. They're real people with real lives that should never be forgotten. What do you think? Should social media companies do more to prevent tragedies like this? Or was there no real way to stop them? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if this story resonated with you, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video. Because awareness isn't just about knowing what happened. It's about making sure it doesn't happen again.